Yeah, yeah. Get your ass up and hurry up.
Would you like drugs with him?
Now we've sort of touched on the sort of foods that it's in. I mean, it's perhaps almost easier and frightfully scary to sort of touch on the foods that it's not in, because when you look at the lists go on and on.
Oh, it does. It does. Most of our processed foods, anything, I basically eat the way my grandparents ate. And that was just whole foods. And when I shop the perimeter of the grocery store. And that means fresh meats, fresh fruits and vegetables. I make my own bread with whole wheat flour, and I also use some white flour, but it has to be white flour that does not contain malted barley flour. You'll see on the side of a package of white flour, malted barley flour, and you wonder, why is that in there? Malted barley contains a high amount of glutamate. The way it's processed, it's sprouted, it's dehydrated at high temperatures, which releases glutamate. Both those processes release glutamate, the sprouting also. And then it's roasted, which develops more of this free-form glutamate. And it's ground into flour and added because it's very sweet. It contains a lot of glutamate, and the flour will not taste bitter on the shelves. So we hear from a lot of people who were diagnosed having celiac disease, an allergy to wheat. It turns out they were reacting to the malted barley in all their baked goods. So I will make my own bread. And so basically fresh fruits and vegetables, cane sugar, because beet sugar contains glutamate. Sugar beets contain more glutamate than just by using just cane sugar. You're avoiding that. So we eat eggs. Is that what you wanted to know? A little bit more of what we eat?
Well, yes, because I was thinking of looking at the foods that it was in, but actually I think that we'd be here for sort of 3 weeks going through lists.
And you're right. You're right. Probably 2/3 of the processed foods in the grocery store contain MSG.
Certainly, so far as we're concerned here in Europe particularly. I mean, even if you think, just sort of maybe oversimplifying here, but thinking, well, I have a very natural diet and I make my own soup, then please, also beware about the stock cubes, because all stock cubes seem to contain it too.
Exactly. Bouillon, yes. Bouillon cubes, we call them, yes. They are pure MSG, basically, with a little bit of the chicken, dehydrated chicken or beef in it. Mm-hmm. And so that is something to avoid. Be sure that your meat has not been injected with flavor enhancers like MSG. A lot of times they will actually inject turkeys or chicken. People, I hear at Thanksgiving and Christmas, the phones ring like crazy because we are hearing from people who are so sick because they're eating so much of this party food that's loaded with MSG during the holidays. And, of course, the turkeys are injected with MSG, pure MSG.
And I believe also if you are eating out, most chicken dishes, certainly in the United States, have MSG added to them. I was reading somebody saying how delicious it was, the actual crispy skin of the chicken, but it was all because it's been treated with these flavor crunchy things full of MSG.
That's exactly right. And if you ask for the nutrition list when you go to these restaurants, make sure you don't add some people will just ask for this nutrition list, and it'll just give you what's in the food as far as vitamins and calories and that type of thing. You have to ask for the ingredients disclosure list and make sure you find out exactly what's in this, especially fast food, all the chicken. And they add it in some of the fast food hamburger places, they add it to the ground meat. And they dip they actually soak their fries in a liquid that contains MSG, pat that off, and then fry them. So we're getting it in so many different venues. Organic whole milk is what I use. Be careful because this is another thing people don't realize is that we're so weight conscious, so we want the low-fat varieties of milk and dairy products. The problem is when they take the fat out, they're also taking out the flavor. And so what do they add back? They add either flavor enhancers to like your dairy, some dairy products, your yogurts and that type of thing. But in milk, they tried in the 70s to introduce the low-fat varieties, but people didn't like it because they were blue and clear, and it was just didn't look very, very good. To make it more palatable, they discovered that if they added dry whey and dry milk solids to this low-fat milk, that it was tastier, creamier, richer, and people bought it. What they didn't realize is that they were getting excess amount of glutamic acid, or the harmless form of MSG, because they would when you dehydrate milk, which contains natural glutamate, you're exposing it to extreme heat. You're freeing it into free glutamic acid, the form that enters your bloodstream so quickly, the form that's in MSG, and it's concentrated. So here they add all this excess glutamate to these low-fat products in the form of dry milk and dry whey, and it's just adding to the already huge amount that we're ingesting every day. So it's better to drink whole milk, dilute it down if you want the fewer calories, or just drink less of it. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to also have a look at thinking of losing weight, because this is also what we're all doing, and perhaps using sugar substitutes. For instance, you mentioned we say aspartame. I think you say aspartame.
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 Yes.
Well, whatever we call it, it's one of those sort of sweetener sort of substitutes,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Now, this also having the same effect as MSG?
It certainly is. It actually does the same thing. It reacts on the same glutamate receptors. The same receptors on the brain will receive, glutamic acid or aspartic acid. Aspartic acid is another amino acid that stimulates brain cells.
Imagine how much money they've spent trying to silence good people who are putting their lives on the line to fight for change.
Here's your drug, sir. Have a nice day.